Okay, we're back. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is that there is a bikini on top of this girl's boobs. So please don't call the police and have me arrested and beheaded and scolded firmly. All right. Um, I drew this drawing quite some time ago. I don't remember precisely when. It has all kinds of things wrong with it. Um, in fact, the only thing I did really well was her face. I'm really quite proud of how I drew her face. Unfortunately, her face is utterly out of proportion to the rest of her body. You know, being relatively upright should take one head height down, and that should be about the level with her nipples. And if we were allowed to show anatomy on TV, you would see that that does not line up. Um, and then it would be another head height to her belly button, which that would be right if this part was in proportion, but then it'd be another head height to the crotch, which doesn't match any of this. So I either have to erase her head, which is the only part I like, or uh, erase the rest of her body, um, and just keep the head, which I don't know. I don't particularly like either selection. But Sharon says, I tuned in just in time to hear you say boobs. Um, that's how you know you're talking to me. I mean, that's pretty much it. Um, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is take my chamois and soften this up because there's very little here to get emotional about and feel like I need to preserve. But there is some. And so it's also not newsprint. It's a different kind of paper, and it's behaving very differently, so it's not erasing very well. Um, and Also, I pulled weeds this morning, and that always, and I mean always, gives me an allergic reaction. So I may sneeze and blow my nose, and if that happens, it's going to sound horrible on the microphone because everything sounds horrible on the microphone. Handling these things and scraping uh, this scratchy noise with my charcoal all sounds horrible on the microphone. I'm really gonna try not to make any disgusting body fluid sounds on my video, but who knows? All right, reestablish this bikini top here before something bad happens to me. I'm just gonna redo her face, even though that was the only part that was any good. I'm just redoing her face, and actually, you know what? You know what? I'm even gonna do that. I'm gonna redo her face, but I'm gonna do it different. While I'm taking the opportunity to do things different, I'm gonna do it completely different. I come from Prescott, Arizona. We do not do things different there. We do things different. So yeah, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this. So arm down here, arm up to here, and then her hand. That'll take care of one of those pesky little boobs for whoever just tuned in. And so yeah, arm right there. Turned a little bit this way. She's gonna have a laser pistol or something. And she's gonna have this arm pretty much the same way, but this arm like this. And then she's going to have her hair going off like this. Okay. All right. Stay with me. This will make sense at some point. And excuse me just for a moment. All right, those seconds will not be counted against your grade. All right. Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Arizona time, we're gonna do a wine along with Gilead. Okay. Bring your own beverage of choice. I will not, in fact, be drinking wine because I get very stupid when I drink wine, uh, as well as sleepy and slow and befuddled and confused. Generally, I think good natured. It's not much to argue with when the guy's fallen asleep. But wine along with Gilead, and it's going to be via Zoom. And I do not believe that you have to have a Zoom account in order to um, be sent a Zoom invitation. I don't actually know that. I think that is true. So this is something we're going to find out. We're just going to find out. But so supplies you will need will be a beverage of your choice and some paper to draw on and something to draw with. I don't expect that most of you have charcoal. So, and tomorrow probably doesn't give you enough time to run out to the store and stock up. And it could be a lot of fun. It is most likely going to be a disaster, but it could be a lot of fun. And so we're going to give it a try. My nose feels like somebody took those weeds and stuffed them up my nostrils. That's what it feels like. We bought a bird feeder uh, last year, I guess, and relatively new thing for us to have birds uh, up in the tree. They they used to pass our yard by because we have cats and there was nothing here for them. But now uh, there's there's now a bird feeder, and so we get lots of birds and we enjoy that. And they're messy, so they knock seeds out of the feeder, and um, so they wound up planting some plants underneath the bird feeder. So we had a big crop of sunflowers pop up there, and now I'm getting thistle, um, which I think I need to burn before it becomes a invasive species. But I thought you came from Vermont, where you and growed up in Prescott. You are correct. I was spawned in Vermont, but we came to Prescott when I was still 6 years old. Uh, so I scarcely remember. I do remember. We'll need a link, okay, for the Zoom. You might have to create a free account in order to enter the meeting. Um, root beer sounds great. Um, Yeah, we could do root beer floats and art, or just root beer floats. Right? Yeah, sounds fun. Uh, get the app either for the phone or the computer. I'm looking forward to it too. I'm not counting on it working, but I'm looking forward to the effort. Um, the thistle though, we've got thistle, and it's very pretty. It's got some flowers have bloomed on it, and which means it's on the verge of scattering seed everywhere. Um, but I believe that seed is what's in some of the some of the stuff, some of the bird seed. I don't know if that's really showing up, but she looks a little bit like Botticelli's Venus on a half shell right now. The way her head's tilted and her hair's flowing out to the side. It wasn't intentional, but I like it. Many years ago, we went to a sci-fi convention, and the artist guest of honor was Richard Hescox, who I'm still in contact with via Facebook and Instagram. And he shared with us a series of photos of work he was doing for an illustration. And he had done the painting and turned it in. And the art director didn't like something about the guy's arm was sticking out like this or something, and she said, no, I want his arm up like that. And he was really rushed and really in a in a state, and he came home and he messed around with it, sketching right on the board, because it was an oil painting, and then so he drew the arm in the other position and sent it back, and then they sent it back to him and said, you really ought to get rid of the first arm, because he left the first arm where it was and just painted the whole, so he had three arms, yeah, which you see happening right here, because this is just not erasing. um, but yeah, I could totally see how that would happen, especially uh, I don't really know how I'm sure he handles it better than I would, but uh, when somebody doesn't like what I did, when they reject the work that I did, uh, it hurts my tiny little feelings, and I get upset. And and that's a real thing in the illustration thing that would have been worse. It wasn't very bad. It wasn't very bad in painting signs, because frequently the only person I needed to impress was that store owner, who may have painted his own signs up until now, and so uh, I was always better than him, all I had to do was be better than what he could do on his own, and it was kind of a low bar to set, to be honest. Um, so really had nobody come out and say, "I hate that. I don't like it." I had people say that after the fact, when they had decided they didn't want to pay me, and they were arguing with the price after they'd agreed to the price before I even started. And then while they were arguing about it, they were like, "Well, it doesn't even look it. I don't like it." But it hadn't been a problem up until then. They'd watched me all day and said it was really cool and things like that. I have no idea why I'm talking about that. Just because of the three arms thing. Um, so yeah, so what we have is a girl blow drying her hair, which is floating off into the breeze here. But I've got a special surprise. Very special surprise. Guess what? Guess what? You'll never guess. Want to guess? You'll never guess. It's May. It's May, and that means it's mermaid. Mermaids, you just may be looking at mermaids every day for the month of May, if that's okay. So, it's mermaid. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of that. Get rid of that. And I know she's got to be leaning on something, but I'll figure that out. And yeah, so mermaid. So here we got a mermaid blow drying her hair, which is always a safe thing to do underwater. Here, we're gonna have some fish. I did mermaid a couple of years ago, and there were people objecting to things that I did, like the mermaid would be drinking a glass of wine underwater or something like that, and they're like, "How would that work?" And I just think that's funny. Just, you know, like, we're okay with a woman with a fishtail, but how's that glass of wine gonna work? So she's got bikini made of seashells because I don't want to go to Facebook jail. Not because I like my mermaids to have clothes on. Having trouble here. Where would I be without my paper towel? Can't function without my paper towel. I imagine, yeah, that looks pretty visually confusing over there. Uh, Hopefully, we'll improve things here a bit. my chalk, trusty white chalk, and just about painting out the confusing bits. It's a little better. It's got to be a logical fantasy. Well, it does, but sometimes the just the silliness of that, it just makes it more fun, I think. Yeah. Speaking of silliness in fantasy art, I'll confess that there is some fantasy art that I take more seriously than other fantasy art. And you know, Conan the Barbarian, for example, it has to be convincing to me. I mean, not that somebody couldn't do a humorous one and that I could like it, but um, yeah, I kind of flipped out the other day about the battle axe that looks like it would weigh 5,000 pounds and things like that. That that just drives me out of my head. But um, when you start doing things like a mermaid with a blow dryer, it's kind of like, okay, I've had my little signal that I'm not supposed to take this seriously. I'm not supposed to believe this at all. Um, and so you kind of know what the score is. No, I don't know what kind of fish that is. Ugly ass fish. Ichthys uglyathicus. Shoot a stream of water. It's interesting. Yeah. I'll blow wet. Don't overthink that. Now that would be funny if she was sitting up on a rock out of the water and doing her hair, and then she took a blow dryer and and shot water through her hair because the last thing she wants is for her hair to go dry. That would actually be kind of fun. Fish always look surprised. They swim up to you and they go, "What? What?" Then again, I'm just doing things from my head. I kind of draw the same fish every time. Lots of kinds of fish, but I draw the same ones. So they've done studies with test groups and found that if you're, say, going to go listen to a talk, if I can find some way to piss you off right before you go listen to the talk, you are less likely to agree with the speaker than if I said something pleasant to you that you liked and made you happy, and you're more likely to agree with the speaker. And you can extend that to, well, something they've known for a long time has been that uh, very like an animal who's going to get in a fight. Um, if we're sensing danger or being threatened or something, we tuck our head, we raise our shoulders because that protects your neck, right? From slashing. You get your hard chin down here to protect your neck, and your shoulders are up there, and your hands, come up, like you're ready to fight. Okay, what they only realized lately is that um, those emotions don't merely cause that body behavior, but it actually works the opposite way. So this body behavior, just doing this, will actually start to make you mad. if you started walking around the house like this, you would eventually get aggressive and angry and combative. And then somebody noticed, look what happens when you get on your computer all day and you surf the internet. You are in the the body posture that's actually hardwired into your DNA to make you angry, disagreeable, combative, less likely to agree with people that you're talking to, more likely to take everything wrong and be pissed off and insulted and angry um, because of whatever they said. um, and like I said, when they've done these studies, that they um, they tested the people ahead of time to know like what kind of politics they had, what kind of religion they had, and what kind of so they knew it was meaningful that okay, we're going to send him in to listen to a speech about something that he generally agrees with already, and then we're going to measure his reactions. And if they find a way to make you angry before you go in, um, you'll wind up disagreeing with stuff that you agree with, and and so there's a is something you need to watch. You need to, if you're going to spend time on the internet, which we all should spend less, um, you need to straighten that back and get your shoulders relaxed and down, and get yourself out of that hostile posture, and might find that you're less inclined to unfriend people and that sort of thing. And anyway, that's mostly what I got. I uh, this little line down here of her hips and the general line of her butt and her legs. That's about all we kept from that previous sketch, and then the rest of it is all wiped away, and that's fine because all it did was live in a cardboard box on my shelf for the last 8 years or more, and so there's really nothing lost. And this is my first installation of Mermaid on this fine May Day. I hope I find you all in good health and in good spirits. Um, this will all be over with sometime. I want to say it's all over with soon, but I have no actual particular belief one way or the other in how it's going to turn out. I have heard one uh, encouraging bit of scuttlebutt. Okay, I can't give it any more credibility than that, because I just heard it from somebody else and I don't know what they read, what their source was. But apparently, there's a British company that was already working on a cold vaccine, COVID variety vaccine, and we're making some pretty good headway. They felt so when this outbreak happened, they uh, switched gears and started working on that, and they think they're getting somewhere. They've had good results in monkeys and things like that, and so they're starting some human trials, and we'll know as that comes about. So that's particularly it's good news because they didn't start from scratch. So um, that whole thing, if that works, they're farther along than um, than any other prediction. Um, or it doesn't work, and they got to start over from scratch anyway. Who knows? But that is a relatively good piece of information that I don't know. I guess they gave some monkeys COVID-19 and they recovered, or they were resistant to it, or whatever the thing was. I don't know. I'm a terrible source of information. Even when I do read the article, it doesn't stick with me very well. So I can only generalize. But anyway, It's not all bad news. That's what I'm trying to say. It is not 100% bad news. There's 1% good news out there, and I've nattered on for more than 30 minutes, and I'm going to end this. I hope to see you all tomorrow night, 5 o'clock Arizona time, on Zoom, and I would give you more details at this moment, except I don't have them. I don't know how to do Zoom yet. It is going to be my absolute first time when we do it. And I'm going to somehow, I know that you can share your screen, um, which is terrifying because there's some really bizarre porn on my computer somewhere. Somebody keeps putting it there, and I don't know who it is. But hopefully, I will manage to put something on my screen that we can all draw, and we'll go from there. We'll do this. We'll do a Zoom, or we won't. Uh, but you will all have a glass of root beer handy to console yourselves with. So I'll see you tomorrow night at 5 Arizona time. Bye bye. Thank you for coming.